This week on Insights into Technology, a Windows patch that breaks more than it fixes, Apple's AirPlay gets grounded by hackers, and hospitals get hit where it hurts in IT. Plus, Cloudflare holds back a record DDoS tsunami. OpenAI and Microsoft aren't exactly saying eye to AI, and Mastercard's new AI shopper might know your taste better than you do. When tech breaks, surveillance sneaks in, and bots start browsing on your behalf. We're here to make sense of it all. This is Insights into Technology.
Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Technology, a podcast exploring the latest in computers, networking, home automation, mobile computing, and all things technology related. Our hosts will take a deeper dive into the latest and greatest in tech trends and give you the information you need to enable your tech-centric world.
This is Insights into Technology, episode 26, Shopping, Streaming, and Screaming. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and this is your tech news of the week. Our first article comes to us from Bleeping Computer. Windows Update fix turns into a new problem. A recent Microsoft Windows security update intended to fix a vulnerability, CVE 2025-21204, has unintentionally created a new problem. The update generates an iNet pub folder as the root of C drive, owned by the system account, even on machines not running IIS or Internet Information Services. Microsoft advises users not to delete this file. Cybersecurity expert Kevin Beaumont discovered that the folder can be weaponized by creating a junction, a special type of folder link between C:\inetpub and a Windows system file like notepad.exe. Even non-admin users can block future Windows updates, triggering update errors. Microsoft acknowledged the issue, labeling it moderate severity, and currently has no immediate fix plan. So this is not the first time that Microsoft has experienced patch issues when they've tried to come out and fix some problems. But creating a system-owned folder accessible to users, even without IIS installed, introduces a new vulnerability. And when they came out with this last month, everyone wondered why they were doing this. And Microsoft has kind of been playing it close to the vest as to exactly what the purpose of this is. There was some speculation that it was used to get around some issues with a Microsoft Windows Update function, but Microsoft still hasn't really confirmed that or given us any details about that. Non-admin users, in this case here, could be blocking updates, which is a serious issue, especially when it comes to security updates, which Microsoft regularly releases 80 to 100 security updates every month. This will compromise that update integrity, and it eventually will leave systems exposed longer, especially to dangerously large organizations, if you're working in commercial and enterprise environments. Microsoft kind of comes across as they're downplaying this a bit by labeling the issue as moderate, but the real world impact is pretty significant. Anytime you're updating you're disrupting your update chain, especially with the aggressive attacks that we're seeing in the wild now, it's a serious problem. Even innocuous looking folders in this case can be exploited if permissions aren't tightly controlled. Threat modeling must account for creative abuses like junction attacks, which most people generally don't concern themselves with at this point in time. So we'll see if Microsoft escalates the severity on this and if they're going to come out and fix. They haven't even committed to coming out with a fix for this at this point in time, which I think is probably the most disturbing portion of this entire thing. Next up comes to us from Bleeping Computer. Cloudflare battles a tsunami of DDoS attacks. Cloudflare reported a record-breaking surge in DDoS attacks in 2025, mitigating 20.5 million attacks just in Q1, nearly matching all of 2024's total. The attacks grew 358% year over year, driven largely by hypervolumetric assaults exceeding 1 terabyte per second and novel threat vectors. So the scale of this is monstrous. So 20.5 million attacks just in the first quarter of 2025. 16.8 of these were network layer attacks. Cloudflare's own network suffered 6.6 million attacks over an 18-day multi-vector assault. Two new types of attacks that did emerge from this report was the CL-DAP reflection attacks. These were up over almost 3,500%. We also saw an increase in ESP amplification attacks over 2,000%. The U.S. hosting provider serving games like Counter-Strike and Team Fortress 2 faced a hyper-volumetric strike reaching 1.5 billion packets per second. Cloudflare mitigated a new record DDoS spike of 5.8 terabytes per second, lasting 45 seconds, setting a new internet milestone. This all points to subjects that we've been kind of talking about, a theme that we've been talking about for the past several shows, actually. And that is that there seems to be this growing groundwork of foundational attacks that are happening more and more. It almost gives the impression that the internet is under siege. DDoS attacks have scaled so dramatically that only giants like Cloudflare can keep pace, raising concerns about overall internet resilience. Now, there are definite advantages to using a content management service like Cloudflare. Certainly, defensively, there's valid reasons for it, but there's functional problems that some organizations run into with it that make a Cloudflare or an Akamai or someone like that not a practical use, especially if you're tying a lot of your internal resources into a public web presence. That can certainly be a problem. But I think it's hard to imagine having a web presence these days as a corporation and not using some level of protection, DDoS protection, like a Cloudflare. The CLDAP and ESP attacks show attackers are innovating, and sectors beyond gaming could be next unless networks are hardened now. And this points to what we're seeing elsewhere. We're seeing a lot of infrastructure attacks. We're seeing a lot of command and control attacks that are happening. It's almost like they're positioning. It's almost like watching what happens before a war starts, where the troops start piling up at the border. You see massive troop movements. You see industries ramping up and so forth. What you're seeing now, I think, has a lot to do with a possible push that may already, judging from the numbers of these DDoS attacks, the attacks may already be underway. But when you're targeting specifically someone like Cloudflare that's designed to deal with these attacks, you're really trying to hit the infrastructure and basically the shields that protect us all. And this causes a great deal of concern in the industry itself. So we're going to have to keep very close watch on these situations. Next up is an article from Wired. When streaming turns to snooping, AirPlay, under attack. A newly discovered set of vulnerabilities dubbed Airborne in Apple's AirPlay protocol could allow hackers on the same Wi-Fi network to hijack millions of devices, including smart TVs, speakers, and even CarPlay systems. The flaws uncovered by cybersecurity firm Oligo enable zero-click remote code execution, potentially turning everyday gadgets into surveillance tools or entry points for broader network attacks. Both Apple and third-party devices using Apple's AirPlay SDK are affected. While Apple has issued patches for its own products, many third-party devices remain unpatched and vulnerable. Hackers can exploit these flaws without user interaction if they're on the same Wi-Fi network, enabling them to execute code remotely, access local files, or conduct denial of service attacks. Devices with built-in microphones like smart speakers could be used for audio surveillance. CarPlay systems are also at risk, though exploitation requires additional pairing steps. It's worth noting with the entertainment systems in cars these days, there have been several instances in the last few weeks in which controls of the car, of automated driving cars, electric vehicles, and so forth, and even the security systems are being accessed and bypassed through the entertainment systems themselves. So if AirPlay is injecting a vulnerability into the entertainment systems in a car, there's a very good chance that it's going to wind up causing attackers to be able to gain access to other parts, critical parts of the car itself. So one of the problems everyone runs into in this case here, and we've talked about it in the past, and that's with IoT devices. A lot of our IoT devices, your TVs, your smart devices, your smart bulbs, things like that, tend to be more vulnerable because they are not updated. These tend to be things that are set up once, left in the wild, and unless the manufacturers have automated updates built into their systems, these don't get patched. So they're a constant threat for exploitation. So if you do employ any of these smart devices, whether or not they can be accessed through AirPlay, it's very important to make sure that they are updated regularly. The other thing you can do is network segmentation. So one of the things that I do on my internal network, I'll be the first to admit that I have a lot of smart devices on my network. I use virtual networks on my internal network. So all of my IoT devices are on a virtual network. The traffic never crosses over into my internal private network. And in fact, I go a step further than a lot of people. I have a second internet connection at the house here, and all of my IoT traffic goes in and out of that secondary internet connection. So it is literally isolated completely from my network traffic. I understand that's not realistic for everybody. Most businesses, commercial and enterprise organizations out there should be doing this type of act. You should be segmenting your networks entirely. A flat network these days just simply isn't practical to run with the number of threats that are out there. So you have to be comfortable with network segmentation. But, ultimately the responsibility here, as much as we can say it's on the consumer, it's on the user, it really isn't. It's on the manufacturers. And Apple recognizes this, and they've made the effort on their side to patch their SDK and patch their functions within their operating system. The shared responsibility in this case here comes with the device manufacturers. If your Wises and your Casas and your Amazons aren't going to patch their software for this, it doesn't really matter, right? Because both sides have to be patched for this exploit to be stopped. So that's the kicker here is if you're going to run smart devices, and I do, and I certainly don't preach against it because I think they make life a little bit easier and convenient. But if you're going to do that, don't cheap out on it. Don't go for the 99-cent light bulbs from Temu, from China or whatever. Make sure you're buying from reputable sources. Make sure you're buying from reputable manufacturers that you trust that are going to stand by their products. That's where the consumer responsibility and where the customer responsibility comes in. It's in making sure that you're buying something that is a supported product. Anytime you go out and you buy a inexpensive piece, and I'll be the first to tell you, I order from Temu on a regular basis, but I won't order anything that is a security risk for me. I won't order electronic devices. I won't order smart devices. That's basically just the way my philosophy is. So that's where the consumer and the customer responsibility comes from, is buying it responsibly moving forward, so that you know when these flaws come out, and they will, they're not going to stop anytime soon. But when they come out, you want to make sure that everyone involved in it is acting responsibly and patching their software. So we're going to take a quick break. Before we do, I want to real quick invite you to subscribe to the podcast. You can find audio-only versions of this podcast listed as Insights into Technology, or you can find audio and video of all the network's podcasts listed as Insights into Things, pretty much anywhere you get a podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, etc. And I would also invite you to give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get comments on the air. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/insightsintothingspodcast, or you can call in and leave a voicemail for us. You can call us at 856-403-8788. That's 856-403-8788. We'd love to get you on the podcast. If you have comments or questions, convey your experience working with some IoT devices and how you secure them and any security issues you may have run into. I'd love to get your feedback and share it with everybody else, and hopefully we can educate people and keep everybody safe. We'll be right back.
Insights into Entertainment, a podcast series taking a deeper look into entertainment and media. Our husband and wife team of pop culture fanatics are exploring all things from music and movies to television and fandom. We'll look at the interesting and obscure entertainment news of the week. We'll talk about theme park and pop culture news. We'll give you the latest and greatest on pop culture conventions. We'll give you a deep dive into Disney, Star Wars, and much more. Check out our video episodes at youtube.com/insightsintothings. Our audio episodes at podcast.insightsintoentertainment.com, or check us out on the web at insightsintothings.com.
Welcome back to Insights into Technology. Our next story comes to us from CNBC. When a patch becomes a patient risk. A recent software update by Oracle engineers inadvertently caused a days-long outage across multiple U.S. hospitals, disrupting critical systems and patient care. The incident underscores the vulnerabilities in healthcare IT infrastructure and the potential consequences of software deployment errors. The outage affected several hospitals nationwide, leading to delays in patient services and administrative operations. An internal software update by Oracle introduced unforeseen issues, resulting in system failures. Oracle has acknowledged the error and is working closely with affected institutions to restore services and implement safeguards against future incidents. Now, you may see an ongoing theme with this week's articles in that doing what we've been telling you to do in patch is causing problems. Unfortunately, that is a sad reality of software development and of IT and technology in general. We have to patch. And even in instances like this where we're seeing patches causing issues, I don't want people to let that deter them from patching. The percentage of negative things that come from patches is significantly lower than the negative things that come from not patching. Let's just put that out there. In this case here, it was probably a bit irresponsible of Oracle to put something like that out into production, especially in a hospital environment with patients' care at risk. But in this case here, they did respond quickly to it. They need to ensure that their updates are safe. There is a process for that, and that process will generally catch about 99% of the issues. But occasionally that 1% falls through. And when that happens, and it will happen, you can't avoid it, but when that happens, the important thing is to, one, detect it quickly, and two, have a contingency plan, whether you're rolling back, whether you're reinstalling, whether you're restoring backups. In my organization, we don't do maintenance if we don't already have a backup plan in place. And when you have that backup plan, you have certain standards, certain requirements that you have to meet to declare success. And when you fail a certain number of those, when you reach a certain threshold, that's when you make the decision. You don't ride that decision out hoping that it's going to get better. You know that if you've got 10 things of success on there and your minimum acceptable is 7 of those 10, once you hit the fourth failure, you're rolling back at that point in time. Don't question it. Don't troubleshoot it at that point in time. You have to get production back up and running. You cannot have, in this case, hospitals going offline and patients' care being compromised. So the hospital IT systems or their vendors or whoever their MSPs, whoever they're using, they need to have these procedures down pat. My organization, we're mostly in-house. We're a hybrid organization. We were almost exclusively using an MSP in the past. And the MSP that we were using wound up running maintenance off of our maintenance schedules. They were running it in the middle of the day, and they were causing service outages. They were causing more service outages than anything else. And it just got to the point that I couldn't continue to tolerate that as a business anymore, so I had to get rid of them. But in this case here, your vendor causes the problem, but your IT staff or your support staff has to be in the loop the entire time so that if something happens and you need to back out and to solve the problems, you can do that. So in this case here, I think both parties were at fault. Oracle certainly needs to be better when it's deploying these types of things. Our next article comes to us from the Wall Street Journal. OpenAI and Microsoft, a partnership under pressure. Tensions have surfaced between OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, raising questions about the stability of their high-profile AI partnership. The friction reportedly stems from differing visions of AI development and concerns over control and transparency within OpenAI. Altman's aggressive push for rapid AI advancement contrasts with Nadella's more measured approach, leading to strategic disagreements. And Microsoft has already been in the process of kind of not distancing itself, but diversifying itself with other AI technology other than OpenAI. So this doesn't really come as a shock. And I don't see OpenAI going away anytime soon from the Microsoft collaboration, but I see it playing a lesser role as other options come around, especially options that are more in adherence with the philosophies of Nadella. Microsoft, a significant investor in OpenAI, is reportedly uneasy about its limited influence over OpenAI's decision-making process. And you would kind of understand that given the amount of money that Microsoft has hemorrhaged into OpenAI. Why they didn't just buy them is still kind of puzzling. They did exactly what Microsoft never does. They built the company up through investment to the point that it's too expensive probably to acquire. And, in all fairness, Microsoft always has that monopoly target on their backs. It's entirely possible that Microsoft didn't want to go in there and acquire the company all full out because they didn't want to deal with the monopoly fight that they probably were anticipating. Disputes over the openness of OpenAI's operations and research have added strain to the partnership. I think that partnership was strained already. I think when you saw the whole drama about Altman being removed and Microsoft stepping in to try to smooth that whole thing over, I think that probably right there left a bad taste in Microsoft's mouth, that they put all their eggs in one basket, and now that basket's starting to float down the river without them. So I think, if anything, it put the fear of God into Microsoft, and Microsoft knew they had to start to diversify their AI offerings. So this doesn't strike me as odd at all, and I don't think we're going to see that relationship severed completely anytime soon. Next up, an article from the Financial Post. From browsing to buying, AI agents transform e-commerce. Mastercard has unveiled a Shopping Muse, a creative AI-powered shopping assistant designed to enhance online retail experiences. Developed through its subsidiary Dynamic Yield, Shopping Muse interprets natural language queries to provide personalized product recommendations, aiming to replicate the in-store shopping experience digitally. Users can input conversational phrases like "looking for a summer wedding outfit," and Shopping Muse will suggest relevant products, understanding modern trends and colloquial language. The AI considers user behavior, including browsing history and past purchases, to tailor suggestions. This incorporates image recognition to recommend products based on visual similarities, even without specific tags. Shopping Muse aims to assist retailers in providing a more immersive and tailored online shopping experience, potentially extending beyond fashion to categories like furniture and groceries. AI is in everything right now. I'm surprised we're not getting it in our breakfast cereal at this point. This is no different than a lot of the shopping functions that are built into your search engines like Google and so forth. It's just adding additional sophistication to it. It's a more, in this case, more sophisticated search engine. But the one concern, obviously, here is privacy. In order to provide this level of customization and personalization, it requires information. And the information that it requires is very personal information. It's a borderline snooping on you. Is that something that you want? There are perks to it, but it depends on what the deep data tracking is. It raises, obviously, privacy concerns like anything with AI at this point in time. This is retailers' way of trying to make e-commerce feel more real world like, more, faster, more personal, more intuitive. I don't know how well it's going to work, especially when you start getting into obviously the privacy side of things, but AI isn't perfect. You still get hallucinations in AI. I don't know how much of an impact that's going to have on retail suggestions, nor do I know how well those retail suggestions are going to be. Right now, if you take a look at what your targeted advertising does for you, targeted advertising today, just based on current algorithms, is pretty spot on. And that's without a plethora of data that AI requires. AI agents may soon dominate retail user experiences, guiding what we buy and how we browse with both benefits and risks. You think about it. If you have smart devices in your house, and I see this, my wife and I see this frequently, you'll have a conversation about something, not talking to a smart device, and then all of a sudden you start getting advertisements or emails about that. Now, you can speculate as to why that is. It could be a coincidence. It could not be a coincidence. But there's no doubt that they're using targeted advertising to send those correspondences to you. And for me, the targeted advertising that they do is pretty spot on. If it's stuff that I'm interested in, it's stuff that I want to see. So I don't know how much further AI is going to take that. I just think it's going to make your online shopping experience a little creepy moving forward. But, that's kind of the stage that AI is in right now. We'll see how this goes. I don't need help spending money. I have absolutely no problem spending money on the things that I want to spend money on. If anything, I need help not spending that money. So I'm not sure this is going to be a good thing. Certainly not for the consumer. It may be a fantastic thing for commercial and retail to generate more sales for you. So if that's the direction it goes and it helps business, that's fine with me. That was all we had today. Actually, I don't have a third segment. I did not get a chance to work the deep dive out for the next deep dive that we're doing. As you guys know, I've been inundated with a very inconvenient situation here with some renovations that were going on, which are just about done now. In fact, the renovations are done. It's just a matter of decorating and putting things back together, which is why I was able to do a podcast this week. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to do the deep dive. Hopefully, I'll have that for you next week. If not, we'll go out and we'll find some other relevant news for everyone. I didn't even populate that in our segment 3 here. But before we do go, I want to do some shout outs real quick. Give some credit where credit is due. We had another Twitch subscription, actually a re-subscription from our friends at the Second Sith Empire. Thank you for that. They have been a monthly subscriber for quite some time now for us, and we appreciate that. On that note, if you are a Amazon Prime subscriber, you do get a free Twitch Prime subscription that you can throw out there. If you want to throw it out our way, that would be appreciated. That helps us keep the lights on. We did get some Twitch followers. Now, it's been several weeks since we've done a podcast, so I couldn't go back and grab everyone. We got a lot of new follows. So the last week or so, we got Fantasy Growl, Lily Bear 99, Bobby Lucas, and Neon Fox 6. Thank you all very much for following us on Twitch. And again, before we go, we'd love to hear from you. I haven't had anyone calling yet to give us their comments. Most comments that we get, we tend to get through our website or through Twitch or Twitch chat or something like that. But email us at comments@insightsintothings.com with your comments. That'll help me focus it and get them into the show. Or you can call us at 856-403-8788. That's 856-403-8788. And we'll get your call on the phone on the show. We'll get your messages on the show. And you can check out our main website for all of our other social media contacts, all of our past shows. We do now have a tech headline show that recaps all of our social media posts on our daily tech news that we do 5 days a week. You can reach that at www.insightsintothings.com. And that's it. Another one in the books.